Hey everyone, Vortex DCG here, and today I'm going to be showcasing you a deck that I've been working on for quite a while, but I don't think I've been able to fully feel like it is the best version of this deck, and I think a lot of people are also finding problems with this deck as well. It looks great on paper, but there are still so many missing pieces that make this deck a little bit unreliable, and that deck is UlforceVeedramon. Personally, one of my favourite of the Royal Knights, and I really love its playstyle, but it's safe to say that it does have some trouble when it comes to its own card pool and its game plan. But in this version, it is Ultimate Cup except for one card, which I'll get to in the deck profile, and I'll recommend some changes as well for the deck, because quite frankly this deck can be built in multiple different ways, and I think at the moment we don't have enough testing to be like, this is the best version. So this is my version of UlforceVeedramon, and if you want to see more content like deck profiles, gameplay videos, more of Sealed Only, which is coming out soon, please like and subscribe to the channel. It means a lot. Anyways, I won't take your time up any further. Let's get into the deck profile. Alright, and let's get into the deck profile. We're going to start off with the eggs, and it's a pretty obvious choice. I play 4 Veedramon. For me, it's probably one of the best blue eggs you can play now, because most of the time you're going to have a blue Tamer out. So just an additional draw. It's once per turn. I think this card is pretty good, and I think you play 4 of it. I think this card actually has more chance of being useful in future decks as well, which is kind of insane. Let's go into the level 3s now, and we're going to start off with starter deck Veedramon. We need draws in this deck, and the ability to go into an Old Force for 4, which is the normal price anyways for the level 6 Old Force, is pretty good, and it immediately allows you to basically make a comeback within the game. So you play 4 of this. The draw effect is also nice. It's also not once per turn, so if for whatever reason you have dumped your entire hand and you need more cards, and you get resets from Old Force, this works out pretty well, I'd say. So we play 4 of it. Then we also play 4 of the EX1 Veedramon. We just play it because it gives us a memory. Memory gain is very important in this deck because it allows us to go into the UlforceVeedramon and able to continue our turn depending if we play a Tamer or not, because you get to unsuspend, and if you get to play a Tamer you also gain memory from other cards as well. So yeah, this is a mandatory 4 of. I don't think you can cut this down. And then we also play the 4 Searcher Veedramon. Kind of strong search, if I'm being honest. It's not crazy, you only look at the top 3 cards, but you get to add a card with Veedramon and 1 blue Tamer card as well. So you're able to add just a generic blue, and personally I think this card is going to be generically pretty good if there's a chance that you can get a Veedramon line and also just a generic blue Tamer. So we play 4 of it. It obviously works with the deck, and the game memory part is also very important, and it's something that we desperately need in this deck. So we play 4 of it. And then going into the final level 3, it's 2 Madoki Betamon. What you'll quickly realize is that you don't want to get run over very quickly with stuff like Beals in the format, and other cards as well. So playing this just limits what they can do essentially, and in some cases actually just a win card, because they have to either use resources to get rid of it, or they have to not get the resources that they need to push for game. So we play 2 of it. I can see it being a little bit higher though, depending on the meta. Then we get onto probably the weakest cards in the deck, if I'm being honest. It's the level 4 line, and I say this because I just don't think there are that many good level 4s. So we'll start off with the 4 BT11 Veedramon. Essentially allows you to draw a card if you play a blue Tamer, which sometimes comes up. It doesn't really come up that much, if I'm being honest. all you do with this card is that you play it, and then when you go into your Aero or your Ulforce, you just gain an additional memory when you play a Tamer. So it's nothing crazy in my opinion. It's definitely not like a powerful card, but the draw is nice. It sometimes comes up, so we play 4 of it. Then we get onto a controversial one. I really like this card, especially as a lot of things affect our deck, and I play 4 of the starter deck Veedramon. The reason why I do this is because a lot of the time your turn ends when they play stuff like a Tumon, a Madoki, a lot of these cards, and there are other cards that are problematic as well at level 3. So I personally think, and it's also not once per turn, which is also very important as well, because you can do multiple swings with the Ulforce if need be. But I know a lot of people are playing the Tamer that allows you to bounce one guy and then also gain memory at the start of your turn. But for me, I think playing at the level 4 line is decent, especially as I've already said, the level 4 line personally for me is very weak. So I also think it's just a generically decent card. You'll be able to get to 8 or more cards very easily because there are lots of draw cards in this deck, and also a lot of your Tamers and other cards allow you to add cards to hand, so I don't think it's much of a downside. So I play 4 of it, and then to finish off the level 4 line, I play 2 Lobos. You really should be playing the other one. I think it's called Kumamon. I just don't have the card, so I play 2 Lobomons. But Kumamon, you put those in, and I think you're good to go. If you wanted to make some adjustments at the level 4 line, I can see you playing 4 Kumo and 2 of the starter deck Veedramon, because the hybrids in this deck are actually very powerful, because you get to a point where you gain a lot of memory quite frequently, and so you're able to go into hybrid 5, 6, and then go for game quite frequently, I would say. So I can see the change there, but that's what I'm running at the moment. Let's get onto the level 5 line, and I think this is probably the most boring one of them all. We play the 4 BT11 Aero Veedramon. Yeah, I mean, looking at the top 3 cards and adding all the blue Tamers, pretty decent as it turns out. So, and it also suspends your guy, which is obviously very important, because you're able to unsuspend when you go into your UlforceVeedramon and then activate its effect to bounce a guy back. So we play 4 of it. We need search 4 Tamers in this deck, and this one's pretty good. So yep, that's the level 5 Aero, and then I also play 4 of the other starter deck Aero Veedramon. The reason why I do this, I know people have been lowering this number to about 2. The reason why is because sometimes you just don't find your level 6, and going into the Aero Veedramon allows you to swing safely and also gain draws and additional effects when need be. So I play 4 of it. You could probably cut it down depending on if you want to add more Tamers or more cards in the future. Then we get on to the obvious card. We play 4 UlforceVeedramon. It's obviously the best card in the deck. This is the card that you're building towards, and when you get into this card, it's very hard to get rid of, essentially. It essentially means you can continuously swing, you gain advantage by playing blue Tamers, and you also get to bounce a guy back when you unsuspend, which is pretty good to say the least. When you'll see the gameplay videos that do come out following this deck profile, you'll see that this card is a menace, and if it doesn't get checked, it will go through the whole game very quickly. So you play 4 of it. You can't lower this number, quite frankly. And while they're here, obviously this is an OTK deck, but sometimes you don't get all your pieces. So I play the 1 Omnimon. This is the one card that you will have to cut if you go to the Ulforce, not the Ulforce, the Ultimate Cups, because obviously only 1 color requirement. If you were to replace this, you could add a Tamer or some more option cards potentially. But this just allows you to swing for game a lot more. But yeah, if you're playing an Ultimate Cup, you can easily cut this out. You can play you can play the BT2 Ulforce, which is still very good in this deck. But yeah, just keep that in mind, obviously. Then we get on to Tamers, and I think my Tamer lineup might be a little bit questionable to some of you guys, but I'll explain. We play 3 of the new arena. Yeah, obviously it's the main combo enabler for the deck, but I don't really like running it at 4. The reason why I don't like running it at 4 is because it bricks, in my opinion, and one of the things that you don't want to do is that you want to keep on putting these on the board, because as soon as you put all of them on the board, your OTK turn essentially ends because they are mandatory effects. So, yeah, you only play 3 of them, and obviously the memory gain is very good, but for me, I mean, if you play 4, I think you're going for a little bit overkill, in my opinion. Then we get on to another card that people are not running. It's 3 of the BT2 arena, and I'm going to explain something. This is something that you can change, obviously. You could play the Taikamiya V-Tamer, but I don't own that, and I don't really want to be waiting another month to get those cards. So I play Rena. The reason why I play Rena is because there are points in the game where you need to find specific parts to continue advantage, and the Aero Veedramon allows you to activate on-play effects from one of your arenas. And sometimes it's really nice to play this one because the additional search is very nice and it just provides decent bonuses. Obviously, the main one you'd want to go for is the BT11 one for that effect, but for me, sometimes the search is very nice and I like to have more control over my search other than just drawing a card. So that's just my opinion. I play 3 of this. You could easily switch this out for the V-Tamer if you want. We then play 2 Davis. It's the set to 3 memory tamer and it's the best one of them. Gets to search and also you get to set to 3. Nothing really much to say here. It's just a really good card, obviously. And then to finish it off, we go into the Sora and Joe. Source stripping isn't a major part of this deck, obviously, but sometimes it's nice to get rid of problematic sources, stuff like from maybe the Veedramons that might give you like piercing or blocker or trashing security. It's quite nice in those situations, and the additional memory is quite nice as well because a lot of decks at the moment would want to play stuff like the level 3s out on their own without sources, so it's very nice in those scenarios. So we played 2 of it, and also allows you to gain a lot of memory very quickly. This deck is able to go to like start at 3 to then go to 7 very quickly because of the Sora and Joes. So yeah, I think you definitely play them. Some stuff that you probably could cut as well in this deck, but I don't know what I would replace them for at the moment, are some of these options. I play 1 Ice Wall. It's a win card. Like, if you open this card, your opponent can't really do much about it. It essentially just says win the game if they have an aggressive turn and you pass them with like 1 or 2 memory. So yeah, I play 1 of it. I think it is still obviously a really powerful card. And then I end the deck with 2 blue memory boost. Again, you could probably cut this. If you do play the V-Tamer, you probably cut this and some of the arenas to play 4 of them. But for me, this card does come up sometimes. Sometimes, especially early on, you don't have many options to find all the pieces. You really want to build a very specific stack with this deck, because if you don't have one of the pieces, you really do realize that very quickly. So I played this just to try and find those pieces, and also the game 2 memory is very important because sometimes when you play an old force, you're not at the cusp of, you know, continuing your turn. There was like a part in my gameplay, the other that I'm going to showcase in future videos, where I was at 1 memory and it almost lost me the game. So it's definitely something you have to consider, some additional memory gain. So that's just me though. I played 2 of this. You could easily cut this for the V-Tamer package instead. Anyways, that's been my deck profile for UlforceVeedramon. I know it's a lot different compared to some of the other deck lists that are out there. You know, there's the Leomon version, there's a lot of different versions out there. And for me, I find success in it, but obviously I think Ulforce is always going to be a very high rolly deck. I think it's essentially a blue Jesmon, but Jesmon has so many more tools that punish your opponent, and this one still is a little bit off the mark in my opinion. But what do you guys think? Do you like Ulforce? Do you like this deck profile? What would you like to see in UlforceVeedramon in the future? We've got the X antibody coming out soon, so maybe that might make some changes, but let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.